Bye bye. Keep crunching.
두고간 편지도 어떠한 사랑도 노래가 되면 시가 된다면 기쁠 거야.
자연으로 다시 돌아간다.
이게 그 신발이구나.
100% 생분해야 되는 신발입니다.
야, 너무 신기하다. 언나커즈 검증 타임. 렛츠고.
저기 걸으면 이렇게 압력이 나올 거예요. 그래서 실제로 얼마만큼의 힘이 들어가고 스트레스를 몸에서 받는지도 다 측정을 하는 거죠. 그래프를 보시면 달리기를 하고 근육의 활성도가 피로도가 왔기 때문에 떨어졌고 이제 리커버리 신발을 신고 휴식을 취하고 난 뒤에 데이터를 보시면 짧은 시간 안에 근 활성도가 현저히 증가한 것을 확인하실 수 있습니다. 그럼 결론적으로는 피로도가 리커버리 되었다.
Officially certified by the American Orthopedic Association and attracting global investors left and right. Finalists at the world's largest outdoor trade fair. How about a fast post-run recovery?
이런 장난 재미없을까? 이제 나도 모르겠어. I don't know what to think about, but you are good by you. 오해서다 아름다운 날 보내기는 싫어. 그럴 수만 있다면
that the U.S. Senate has passed the bill to end the government shutdown, it's been sent to the House for approval. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he aims to pass it as early as Wednesday. South Korea added almost 200,000 jobs last month compared to the same period last year, driven by the health and social welfare services sector. Employment also grew in the arts, sports, and leisure-related services, and the wholesale and retail sector. With only a day left until the college entrance test, Suneung, test takers are making their final preparations. Today, they received their official exam slips that confirm the subjects the student has selected and the specific test center where they will be taking the exam.
Hello and thank you for joining us on Arirang News. We begin in the United States, where senators on Monday voted to end the longest government shutdown in American history. The bill now moves to the House, where Speaker Mike Johnson says he aims to pass it as early as Wednesday and send it to President Donald Trump for his signature. Our Lee Seung-jae starts us off.
The U.S. Senate has approved a bipartisan compromise to end the longest government shutdown in American history. The measure passed Monday night by a vote of 60 to 40, breaking a weeks-long political stalemate that left hundreds of thousands of federal workers without pay, disrupted food aid programs for millions, and caused widespread air traffic delays. The bill drew support from nearly all Senate Republicans and 8 Democrats. Those Democrats have pushed unsuccessfully to link government funding to health insurance subsidies set to expire at the end of the year. While the agreement allows lawmakers to revisit the issue in December, it does not guarantee those subsidies will continue for the 24 million Americans who rely on them. Under the deal, funding for federal agencies that had been cut off since October 1st will be restored. It also temporarily halts President Donald Trump's effort to downsize the federal workforce, blocking any layoffs until January 30th. The bill now moves to the Republican-controlled House of Representatives. Speaker Mike Johnson said he aims to pass it as early as Wednesday and send it to President Trump for his signature.
At the very moment that they do that final vote, I will call all House members to return to Washington as quickly as possible. We'll give a 36-hour formal and official notice so that we can vote as soon as possible to pass the amended CR bill and get it to the president's desk.
Meanwhile, President Trump marked Veterans Day on Tuesday at Arlington National Cemetery, where he praised the Senate's action and saluted Speaker Johnson for what he called a big victory, saying the government is now on the verge of reopening after the record-long shutdown.
And congratulations to you and to John and to everybody on a very big victory. We're opening up our country. Should have never been closed. Should have never been closed.
If approved by the House, the bill would then go to Trump's desk to be signed, at which point government agencies would reopen starting at the time Trump signs the legislation. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Over in Russia, Moscow says it's ready to resume preparations for a long-delayed summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump. Now that's according to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who told local media on Tuesday that Russia is prepared to discuss American concerns over what Washington called secret underground activities, as well as to restart summit planning. The meeting was originally expected after a phone call between Trump and Putin on October 16th, when both sides agreed to meet soon in Budapest. However, it was postponed after failing to reach common ground on resolving the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Both Moscow and Washington now say the summit will proceed once the right conditions are in place. South Korea has co-sponsored a UN resolution condemning human rights violations in North Korea. The resolution will go through the third committee before being submitted to the UN General Assembly plenary session next month, where its final adoption will be decided. South Korea had been co-sponsoring the resolution between 2008 and 2018, but opted not to during the Moon Jae-in administration amid efforts to outreach Pyongyang, before co-sponsoring it again under the Yoon Suk-yeol administration in 2023. North Korea has strongly opposed the UN's resolutions on its human rights situation. Last year, Pyongyang's foreign ministry spokesperson called it a grave political provocation that violates the regime's sovereignty. Meanwhile, at a cabinet meeting yesterday, President Lee Jae-myung called for stern punishment for racial discrimination and hate speech, which he says have become rampant in South Korea. The cabinet also confirmed the country's new emissions target for 2035. Our Yoon Jung-min reports.
Racial discrimination and hate speech are a threat to democracy and need to be rooted out. That was President Lee Jae-myung as he opened the weekly cabinet meeting on Tuesday, saying such comments, hatred, and disinformation are rampant in the Korean society and increase social unrest.
이는 표현의 자유의 한계를 넘어서는 명백한 범죄 행위입니다. 혐오 표현에 대한 처벌 장치를 속히 마련하고
As the president was briefed by his justice minister on revising the criminal act, he urged that the criminal defamation clause that punishes factual statements be separated from the criminal law, saying any related case should be dealt with under the civil code.
혐오 표현 처벌을 위한 형법 개정을 해야 될 필요가 있어 보이는데 만약에 하게 되면 그 사실적시 명예훼손 제도 이번 기회에 동시에 폐지하시는 걸 검토하십시오.
Recently, the chief of the Korean Red Cross resigned over past racist comments about foreign ambassadors, which were recently revealed by a report. The cabinet also confirmed on Tuesday a new goal to reduce South Korea's greenhouse gas emissions by 53 to 61% from the 2018 levels by 2035, as he called the change inevitable to achieve sustainable growth. At the same time, he also noted controversy, stressing the importance of striking a balance.
전통적인 예를 들면 석탄 발전소 또는 화석 연료 사용하는 산업들 이게 이제 부담이 커지는 거고 그렇습니다. 대신에 이제 재생 에너지 산업이나 이런 부분은 또 기회가 또 생기는 거고.
Given past experiences, the affected industries worry that they wouldn't get the government support that they need, despite an earlier government promise.
The new emission target is set to be announced later this month at the COP30 in Brazil. The same day, the cabinet suggested that a task force be established to investigate any involvement of certain public officials in the martial law attempt by former President Yoon Suk-yeol last December. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
On the economic front, South Korea added 193,000 jobs in October on year, marking an increase for the 10th consecutive month. According to the Ministry of Data and Statistics on Wednesday, the total number of employed people stood at 29.04 million last month, driven by the health and social welfare services sector. Employment also grew in the arts, sports, and leisure-related services, and the wholesale and retail sector. However, key industries continue to show weakness, with employment in the manufacturing sector falling by 51,000 and the construction sector declining by 123,000. Also, the number of employed people aged 15 to 29 dipped by 1% on year, down 163,000 jobs. Despite U.S. tariffs, South Korea's economic outlook is expected to grow next year, boosted by domestic demand and strong exports. Our correspondent Moon Ji-young explains more.
South Korea's state-run think tank, the Korea Development Institute, has forecast that the nation's economy will grow by 1.8% in 2026. According to its report on Tuesday, the Korean economy is currently showing a modest improvement, driven by recovering consumption and strong exports. While construction investment remains weak, manufacturing and services are improving. Exports have been sustained by a boom in semiconductors. For 2026, the KDI projects this dynamic will shift. It forecasts that export growth by volume will slow significantly to 1.3%, down from 4.1% in 2025. This slowdown is attributed to the fading effects of front-loaded exports and the full impact of U.S. tariffs.
The growth of exports may gradually decelerate as the impact of tariff hikes progressively spreads. However, with consumption improving due to falling market interest rates and expansionary fiscal policies, accumulated construction orders are expected to partially translate into construction investment with a time lag. Consequently, despite the slowdown in export growth, the economy is anticipated to see a moderate improvement, primarily driven by domestic demand.
Domestic demand is expected to recover and support next year's growth. Private consumption is forecast to rise by 1.6%, up from this year's 1.3%, supported by falling market interest rates and expansionary fiscal policy. Construction investment is also expected to rebound to 2.2% growth after a severe 9.1% contraction this year. High trade-related uncertainty remains a primary risk factor for the outlook, with a persistently high exchange rate also posing potential upward pressure on inflation. 문지영, Arirang News.
Dutch semiconductor equipment giant ASML has completed a manufacturing plant in South Korea, creating a key hub in Asia. According to the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy, the completion ceremony for ASML's 16,000 square meter new campus was held on Wednesday in Hwaseong, South Korea. With the move, ASML plans to deepen its cooperation with major Korean chip makers, including Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix. The facility will house a so-called repair center, which remanufactures key equipment such as extreme ultraviolet and deep ultraviolet lithography systems, as well as a training center. In November every year, there's an event in South Korea that brings the nation to a temporary standstill to support high school seniors and some graduates taking the annual college entrance exam. This year's Suneung takes place tomorrow, and test takers are making their final preparations. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
With the annual National College Entrance Exam, or Suneung, just 1 day away, test takers are receiving their official exam slips. These slips confirm the subjects the student has selected and the specific test center where they will be taking the exam. Examinees are also being instructed on final test-taking procedures. High school seniors are receiving their slips at their respective schools. Graduates retaking the exam are collecting theirs from designated locations such as district education support offices or specific test centers. Now that they have their test site locations, examinees are advised to visit their assigned centers to ensure they're familiar with the route for Thursday. According to the Ministry of Education, a total of 554,174 people have applied for this year's exam. This is an increase of over 31,500 or 6.0% from last year and marks the highest number of applicants in 7 years. This year's competition for university admissions is expected to be particularly fierce. This is largely due to the Golden Pig cohort students born in 2007 during a baby boom that year who are now high school seniors. Graduates account for 28.9%. Their numbers decreased slightly by 1.2% compared to last year's 21-year high, but it's still high compared to other years. That 2025 spike was largely attributed to a temporary significant increase in medical school admissions quotas. For the 2026 admissions, those quotas have reverted to their original 3,123 openings, possibly stopping some retakers aiming for a medical school place. The rules on prohibited items are strict. All electronic devices, including mobile phones, smartwatches, tablets, Bluetooth earphones, and e-cigarettes, are banned from the test site. The exam will be held at 1,310 test centers across the country beginning at 8:40 a.m., with measures in place to cut down noise during the exams and workers adjusting commute times to ensure smooth roads are clear for test takers. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
And in line with the rapidly changing times, Korean farmers are now turning to artificial intelligence for marketing strategies. Our Cha Yun-kyung shows us how.
This is a farmhouse that produces concentrated extracts using ingredients such as jujube and ginger. Last year alone, it hosted more than 60 pop-up shops in department stores, but it struggled because its offline customers were not moving online. It recently began selling its products through online live broadcasts and is now using AI to analyze customer characteristics and develop marketing strategies.
We have been exploring various marketing methods to increase our online customers. We've also spent a lot of time thinking about how we can effectively use AI to achieve this.
An AI platform was used to produce video content carrying important information for farmers and their workers. The topic was preventing heat-related illnesses among farmers, featuring ways to maintain health while working outdoors in hot weather. This and another AI use won the grand prize at the 2025 Gyeonggi-do Province Farmer Smart Management Innovation Competition held in September. The second was AI-generated short-form videos that were shared among farms to promote their products. This year marked the 17th edition of the contest and the first to feature AI.
If the agricultural industry embraces AI technology, it can achieve even more diverse innovations. That's why we plan to hold a competition to incorporate more AI-based approaches next year.
Gyeonggi-do Agricultural Research and Extension Services is planning to introduce a new competition category on AI-based sales strategies to strengthen farmer skills at using AI. 차윤경, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. A suicide bomber killed at least 12 people in Pakistan's capital on Tuesday, sharply raising regional tensions. The blast occurred outside a court complex in Islamabad around midday, wounding 27 others. Officials say the bomber tried to enter the building before detonating the device near a police vehicle. No group has claimed responsibility, but Islamabad says militants based in Afghanistan orchestrated the assault with support from India, charges that both countries deny. Pakistan's defense minister said the country is now in a state of war and vowed to respond if cross-border attacks continue. A Turkish military cargo plane carrying at least 20 people has crashed near the Azerbaijan-Georgia border. The C-130 aircraft was flying from Azerbaijan to Turkey on Tuesday night when it disappeared from radar and went down near the Georgian town of Sinhagi. Search and rescue teams are at the site, but officials have not confirmed casualties. Turkey's president has offered condolences to the families of those on board, calling them martyrs. Georgia's aviation authority says the plane issued no distress signal before impact. A Chinese woman has been sentenced to more than 11 years in prison in London for laundering billions of dollars in Bitcoin linked to a massive fraud scheme. 47-year-old Tian Dimin pleaded guilty on Tuesday of using stolen funds from more than 100,000 Chinese investors to buy cryptocurrency, now worth about $6.7 billion. She fled to the UK in 2017 and lived in a mansion in North London, where police later made one of the world's largest crypto seizures. Football star Lionel Messi has spoken about his emotional return to Barcelona and his uncertain World Cup future. While training with the Argentina national team in Spain, Messi visited an empty Camp Nou, saying he misses the club, quote, with all his heart and hopes to live there again one day. Messi added he hasn't decided on playing at the 2026 World Cup, admitting, quote, I don't want to be a burden. I'll only go if I can help the team. Choo Ji-han, Arirang News.
It was another cold start to the day, but it was even more severe in inland areas with sub-zero temperatures this morning. However, there will be a big rise in highs, with some of the inland regions seeing highs jumping 20 degrees Celsius higher from today's morning lows. Some welcome news for the Suneung test takers. The cold will not be a worry for the exam tomorrow under mostly sunny skies nationwide. Again, the main takeaway for the exam is the big daily temperature difference, so layering clothes is crucial for comfort during the test. This afternoon will be similar to slightly higher than yesterday, getting up to 16 degrees Celsius here in Seoul, 18 in Gwangju and Gyeongju, Busan at 20 degrees Celsius under mostly sunny skies for most parts except on Jeju with cloudy skies. The mild classic late autumn weather will continue through the end of the week. Then we need to brace for winter chill early next week, waking up to a low of -2 degrees Celsius here in the capital next Tuesday.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.
Feeling overwhelmed by a busy life without knowing where you are heading.
Realizing your mind has gone completely blank.
If you need
some time and space,
stay, escaping from a hectic life and waiting for your heart.
Temple, a place for self-reflection through peace and calm.